I was pretty thoroughly disappointed. Now, last episode, a lot of people thought the show was destroyed by having too much spectacle and the dragon coming out of nowhere, needless deaths. I thought it was fine. Again, the way it was structured was still a little strange. This episode just felt like it needed more spectacle because really, there are only a few important events that really pushed the story. It could have been a much shorter 30-minute episode for what they were trying to do, and what was stretched out didn't really go anywhere. There were a few significant things, to be sure. A very critical character died. I did think his death was very impactful. I felt a lot. I really felt sorry that the character died. And the battle, such as it was adequate, but given the promise here of the dragons being unleashed, it felt very, very disappointing. But there are things to enjoy. And if you are a book fanatic and a lore fanatic, they did some interesting things with Dragonstone. The way the architecture sort of looks like dragons, that was interesting. That was neat. So nice symbolism with the crown and how they got the crown back. That was interesting. And certain other little touches. And although I thought the childbirth scenes went on for way too long, and there's some interesting double symbolism with what happens with the Targaryen family. But I can't hide the obvious, which is this was kind of a snooze fest. It's interesting that the acting with children and teenage actors was very strong, very, very strong. And I've usually been down on Matt Damon. I know he's Matt Smith. I'm just having fun with him. But his scenes were strong, and some people will probably object that they made him a little too villainous this episode, but I thought it was fine. They're trying to calibrate, not letting you be too sympathetic to him. But yeah, without the Matt Smith scenes or the scenes with the children, really this wasn't that energetic. What they needed to do with the negotiations and the kind of horse trading of jockeying for power, that really could have been condensed a lot more. And there was a laugh out moment when one of the men said, "You have a power that is so ancient and powerful. You have the dragons." And then they start counting the dragons. I'm like, did they really forget they had the dragons? Really? They really forgot. So that was laugh out stupid. When you make the calculation, yeah, they have quite a number of dragons. And given where Dragonstone is, am I missing something? Really, they could just overwhelm Allison really quickly. I mean, if they have the number of dragons that they do, it's game over. There's really not much they can do to counter the dragons. And they have their own dragons, but it's not to the same degree. So it felt kind of silly. And the way that they're trying to go back to season 8 with Daenerys and saying, "I will not rule Kingdom of Ashes." Like, okay, we got it. We got to still deal with season 8. Fine. I thought it was adequate in the first couple episodes, but we're really getting tiresome to relive the ghost of Dany over and over again. And they did the prophecy again. It's becoming like a drinking game. It's like, we have to talk about the Song of Ice and Fire. The prince that was promised. Like, no, we really don't. We've covered this 20 times now. We need to move on to other things. So I don't want to say this thing was totally annoying or boring, but it was pretty frustrating. It was really frustrating. Like, really not much happened. It even wasn't shot very well in many places, just kind of adequate. So in certain places it was fine, other places above average. And I don't want to be too down. I think the climactic battle was strong. I think the character death was very impactful. And there were other good things about it, but it just felt really, really stereotypical and silly. A lot of really weird kind of Halloween horror movie kind of tropes. They're going to the castle, it's raining, it's very dark and gloomy, and it just felt very manufactured, and just everything was just too constructed and too silly. And again, stretching things out, that's the main problem. They just stretch things out for no reason. Where's the Maester? Where is he? He needs to read this. The Maester wasn't ready, really? After a while, it just got a little annoying. And the acting wasn't bad, but it was just overly melodramatic. All in all, except for the final battle and the consequences, and a few other things, there wasn't much that happened in this episode. It's fairly sluggish, and it just felt really kind of problematic to me because it's like we've had 3 setup episodes, and that led us to episode 9. Okay, fine. Some things did happen finally. People may not like the dragon stomping people, and I'm like, let the dragons do something because it was getting really, really frustrating them not doing anything. And now we have another setup episode, and they have one dragon fight, but it's pretty small. So this is getting a little tiresome. I don't quite understand what the Rationale is here. We're paying to see the dragons fighting. Why are dragons not fighting more? It's just really, really frustrating. But overall, they were good things. It wasn't above average episode, but this isn't god awful bad like Wheel of Time in its finale. But I'll say the unpopular thing: Rings of Power finale was much stronger, way stronger than this. But it's fine. It's fine. It's above average. I'm still debating what this score should really be. I'll give it a 7.6. I think that's fair. There we are. It's a very disappointing finale, but it did set up things well enough. I wish they went further, but there we are with the finale to season 1, House of the Dragon.